Lesson 3-7, Example 1. Our objective is learning to divide whole numbers and decimals by decimals. And just a reminder here on some vocabulary. So here we have a division problem. We have a decimal, and we have being divided by a whole number. And our number that's being divided is referred to as our dividend. Our number doing the dividing is our divisor, and our solution is referred to as a quotient. And so when you hear those terms, I want you to remember what those terms are meaning. So let's take a look at this problem right here. We have 5 2/10 being divided by 1 3/10. Well, we know how to divide by whole numbers. So if I set this problem up, I could set it up like this. 5 2/10 being divided by 1 3/10. And so like I said, you know how to divide if this number were a whole number. This problem, you could go ahead and solve it like you know. But it's not. But we could change it to be a whole number. So 1 3/10, if I want to get that to be 13, in order to do that, I need to multiply that by a power of 10, by 10. That moves this decimal over one place value. So instead of 1 3/10, I now have 13. Well, if I do it to one part of my expression, I need to do it to the other part. And so I'm going to multiply 5 2/10 by 10 as well. And it moves the decimal place over one to the right, so I end up with 52. Just like moving that direction as well. Now I'm going to rewrite my problem. So now instead of 5 2/10 being divided by 1 3/10, I have 52 being divided by 13. And 52 divided by 13 is 4. And I can double check to make sure my solution is correct. 13 times 4, 12, 5, and that comes out to be my original, so 4 is my solution. So 5 2/10 divided by 1 3/10, the solution to that is 4. Let's take a look at another problem here. Let's say we have 61 3/10 being divided by 36 hundredths. So I'm going to rewrite that. 61 3/10 being divided by 36 hundredths. And again, if this were a whole number, we could just jump right in and start solving it, but it's not. However, we can make it a whole number. So I'm going to take that divisor, my 36 hundredths, and I need to make it turn it into a whole number, in this case 36. Well, that means I'm moving that decimal place over two places, so it's like I'm multiplying by 10 squared. So this is kind of looking back a little bit, thinking about what we looked at with scientific notation, for example, and powers of 10. So 10 to the second power, that's like moving that decimal place over 2 to come up with that whole number. Well, again, if I do it in this portion of my expression, I need to do it here as well. I need to move this decimal place over 2 places. So I would do that by saying 61 3/10 also times 10 to the second power, which would move that to 6,130. And I know that because I'm going to put this 0 in right there. So I'm going to rewrite my problem. Now I have 6,130, and that's my decimal right there. I'm just going to put this 0 in so you can see that's where the decimal is, being divided by 36. And now I can solve for that. So 36 goes into 61 one time. We end up with 25. We're going to bring this 3, drop straight down. We end up with 253. 36 goes in 7 times and comes out to 252. If I subtract that, I have 1. This 0 is going to come straight down. So now I have 10. 36 goes into 10 0 times. And don't forget that those zeros don't just disappear. We need to have that. So 36 goes into 10 0 times. And just to show that, I'm going to say 0. 0 times 36 is 0. 10 minus 0 is still 10. Now this number drops down, this 0 comes down again, and I have 100. My place value, it looks like I'm going to use this decimal, so I'm going to put that decimal right up there, straight above where it is, just like I would when I'm dividing a decimal by any whole number. And 36 goes into 100 2 times. So I have 100 minus 72. I come up with 28. Well, I need 28, so I need to add in another 0, so I can bring this down. Now I have 280, 7 times, so that's 252. And I have 28 again. Well, if I add in another 0 and bring that down, 280, well, it's starting to repeat. This is just going to be a repeating pattern from now on. So this would be another 7 up there. And it's going to continue to be 7s. And whenever I have a repeating decimal like that, I can stop, put a bar over it, and that is 170 and 27/100ths repetent or repeating. So my solution to 61 3/10 divided by 3600 is 170 and 27/100ths repetent, repeating.